And finally, our Waitai Coastal-Burwood Community Board report. Kamani. Kia ora, welcome, Kim.
Ata Māori Air, Leanne, councillors, staff and community. With me today assisting is Joe Wells, the Governance Manager. Sorry if there was a bit of misunderstanding before. We were down on the agenda for the last one, so he called us up, I understand, so sorry about if there was some confusion.
Look, I'll start the time again. What happened was that somebody slipped a list up to the table, but what we hadn't realised was that it was a list that was being prepared for the annual plan submissions, and so people thought people wanted to move the list around for today, so that hence the issue. But yep. Thank you very much for popping back.
No worries. Yep. No problem. Right. So.
She's just going to be a second with getting the presentation up. So.
Okay. Sure. That's all right. I know that you know what a normal photo is like. What have you got there? Technology, eh?
Great when it works.
Could have had your morning tea. Here we go. So, right, we're reporting on March meetings. Thank you. The Community Board decisions under delegation. I only want to highlight a couple of things. The Board are going to be having a seminar shortly on a stretch of road on New Brighton Road between the Wainoni Road roundabout and the Pages Road roundabout. This has been a concern for some of the residents for years, and it is actually in the long-term plan, so it's really good to see that that's there. So we're just catching up with staff just to see what exactly is planned. So that's that is a good thing. Midges is also something that's on close to our heart there, even though that the Christchurch wastewater treatment plant oxidation ponds don't sit in our ward. The issue significantly affects some of our residents. We'll always welcome Adam to our board because him and his staff are doing an exceptional job to try and resolve these issues. So we have an update coming at the beginning of May there. We do have a Part A recommendation to Council with the Preston subdivisions recently vested reserves through subdivision names and classifications. Just for your information, the board fully endorsed the staff's recommendations there. Significant council projects, Parklands Library, a great community hub back on track. They've had their routine earthquake repairs done and they reopened on Friday the 29th of March, which was ahead of schedule. So well done to all of those people that were involved there. Significant community issues, events and projects, South Shore, South New Brighton Regeneration Strategy. Last month I did stress the board's real concerns over Regenerate's lack of progress on this project. We have a briefing from Regenerate tomorrow, pleased to say. Council staff have met with the board. The key point and message that the Community Board has been asking for and must keep reminding you of for the sake of the emotional well-being of these residents is that the earthquake damaged estuary edge repairs must be separated from the potentially long process of developing a long-term adaptation plan, Regen strategy. Urgent conversations about this are required between Regen, council staff and the Community Board, and we believe that these are being organised, so that is good. Duck down to the river, Riverside Festival. This was a brilliant, fun day for this hard-hit community. A magic spot there at Kerr's Reach, awesome atmosphere and a great time was had by all. So I just want to congrats to the Avondale, Burwood East and the Dallington Residents Association, the Dallington Community Trust, All Saints Anglican Church and the Burwood Christian Centre, who, with support from our amazing local governance staff and all those who participated to create this first time event. Now that event that you can see up there is little rubber yellow ducks, and everyone was able to get a duck and just draw on it with a vivid, put a number on it, put it into the river. We had Glenn on the kayak there trying to herd them, but it was a little bit tricky, wasn't it, there when we had the wind and a whole lot of other things going on. But well done to them. We had staff and their waders wading in the river to try and control these ducks. But the people absolutely, the children loved it, and at the end of it they were actually able to keep their duck. So it was just a fantastic day, so good on everybody involved there. Another amazing event was the Ray White New Brighton Duke Festival of Surfing. This took place on the 10th to the 17th of March. Now, clearly that's not David up there, so I thought it might be Tim. Tim on his new longboard. Does that look a bit like your style?
It looks
there,
like
Tim,
Mike, actually. Look.
So this was a really, it's great. There they are doing a hang five. That surfer is. This surf festival is another high-profile national and international 7-day event that is professionally organised and also puts New Brighton on the national surfing circuit. So congrats to all involved. I'd just also like to acknowledge and thank the Christchurch City Council New Brighton Library staff, as on this particular day, and the Duke organisers who took swift action on that horrific day on the 15th of March and accommodated and looked after the teenage surfers that were in the competition and their supporters in the library during the lockdown. So, as did many other people around the rest of the city. So we just wanted to really say thank you to the library staff and to those organisers for taking that swift and appropriate action to look after our young ones. The Coastal-Burwood Residents Association Forum, we host these about 4 or 5 times a year. The last one that we held the focus was on the draft annual plan. We have generally 11 residents associations and groups represented there, and at the last one we had 2 recently established groups, the Preston's Residents Association and the Avondale Neighbours. So that was really awesome to see that we've got some groups popping up that want to represent their communities. Community Board Matters of Interest. The Board had the Council Team Leader of Animal Management, Mark, come to brief us around issues raised regarding dog control, and the Board wanted to know how to maximise dog signs along the foreshore. Now, we really appreciated Mark's approach on issues. His expertise and his passion for dogs was evident, as was educating the public. Just exceptional, really. The approaches that he takes is awesome. If you want to find out what's going on there, get Mark along to your board. Various sites were visited along the foreshore and the beach with Mark and Park Ranger Robbie to see if any enhancements could be made to the signage, and suggestions have been made and are being considered. The Board received some correspondence and deputation from a concerned residents about the Taiora QE2 new swimming complex in relation to the hydrotherapy pool and the distance between that and the toilets when it came to those that had disability issues and perhaps some health issues. Now, just to remind you, refresh your memory, that the hydrotherapy pool was an after addition and the foundations for Taiora had already been laid, so that is why those toilets weren't placed in the position easily accessible for these people. So the Board has requested urgent advice from staff on how toilet facilities can be added in close proximity to the pool, including feedback from the New Zealand Spinal Trust and the Disabled Persons Assembly, and staff are currently working on this. The distance between the hydrotherapy pool and the toilets is 40 metres, so it is quite a long way. Next thing, our agenda on our correspondence on the 4th of March, we had correspondence on the Christchurch Coastal Residents United, CCRU. This was primarily addressed to Regenerate Christchurch and the Council. You've all received a copy of this. CCRU were seeking the Board's endorsement of their request to both bodies to consider 8 recommendations in classes that mostly fell cleanly into either number 1, earthquake repair pre-adaptation, or number 2, support for future adaptation processes. The Board endorsed the contents of the pre-adaptation in South New Brighton and South Shore document from CCRU, and we have also requested a combined briefing of the Board, the Council and CCRU on this document. The Board also received a presentation from members of the Queen's Park Community Trust, as you can see up there. This is an amazing group that work tirelessly in the community, providing services. They were just informing us, reminding us and what amazing work that they do in the area, and that their plan of fixing and rebuilding their core host building was about to begin. This is going to also enhance their programs quite clearly, and this building is also the home of the Parklands Baptist Church. Great to see what they're doing out there in the community. In response to requests from the Community Board, the staff have undertaken to give us a briefing. We're getting this on Monday about the Cygnet Street Marine Parade stormwater ocean outfall drain. The purpose being to obtain information on what the issue is there a time frame for repair, and what is the catchment area. We've got significant flooding on Marine Parade in this section every time it rains, so that will be good to hear what could be possibly a solution there. We also had, the board hosted, there's no picture, sorry, because I just really don't like selfies, but we also went down to the New Brighton market to promote submissions to the draft annual plan. So we had a good day down there at the New Brighton market, seeing what the concerns were and interest was in the community. And finally, a blessing ceremony with Ngāi Tahu was held at Avonside Girls High School, Shirley Boys High School and Ferndale Satellite Unit site a few weeks ago, and the blessing signifies the end of the building process and the handover of the site to the schools for use, and there will be a gradual moving in, and the first day is going to be on the 29th of April, and the buildings and the site just look stunning. So it was a really lovely blessing. So that's my report. Thank you very much.
Lovely, thank you very much. We've got 49 seconds to go. Phil.
Thanks for your report, Kim. Earlier on I was struck with what your neighbouring board are doing around what they call greening the east. And I just wondered, like in your report, like around, for example, not saying all boards should do the same, but areas like, for example, Aranui, just if you might be able to tell us about any projects or programs that the board have going there sometime.
I think you'd have to check up with the councillors on that. Nothing that will come to hand that has been brought to the board's attention that I can think of off the top of my head. But greening that area, we absolutely would be endorsing that. I mean, greening the city is amazing, would be amazing.
It's almost, it feels like a collaboration between the two boards might actually get more done, particularly on those areas where they connect.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, always trees, you know, landscaping, yeah, big tick.
Mm. Len?
No, mine's just...
To move?
Yeah.
Yeah, so moved and seconded by Dave. Any discussion?
Well,
yep.
Yes, yeah, it was just some really good positive things in there. One isn't so flash. I think we can maybe do something over the South Shore, South New Brighton strategy, but we will get to that. That with the school zones, we're actually moving to make that temporary zone permanent. So there are moves afoot to do that. We think we've got some strong evidence for that with the MOE. And unfortunately with the midges, it's not maybe as good as it might look. In a later report, we've had the most number of complaints ever. So, yeah, it's a work in progress, but just keep pushing at that.
Yesterday that he said there was a 30% reduction.
Yeah, the problem is that's a statistic, but the on-the-ground experience
it's an
with
interesting
the residents...
mechanism of debating.
Yeah, may not match.
Lovely. All right, I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. That's carried. Thank you very much. So that's the end of the community board. So I'm going to suggest we break for morning tea, and if we could be back here, I'll say 11:30 because I know how slow you are to actually wander back into the room. But as soon as I've got a quorum at 11:30, I'll call the meeting back to order.